All right, good day, everyone. All right, my name is Jeremy Tang. I'm one of the co-founders of Shark Indicators, and I've got Zach White on here as well. And welcome, everybody. I'm glad you can make it. Today's going to be a pretty kind of informal, almost kind of workshop type of webinar. And actually, I'm going to be keeping this really informal because you're going to watch me code something from scratch in NinjaScript. And I'm going to kind of go about the way I like to work, which is to use the latest tools. I've always been kind of an early adopter of anything that comes out. And as soon as ChatGPT was kind of out there, I jumped on it. And now actually I use it pretty much every single day, very extensively. And I'm also going to use my developer's environment. I'm going to show you how I set that up, because in my developer's environment, I use something called GitHub's Copilot, which is actually based off of ChatGPT 3.5, but it's been sort of fine-tuned to work very effectively with code. And actually, that's one thing about these LLMs. So these large language models is that they're not only is their knowledge base like super vast, but they've been trained on a lot of stuff out there when it comes to coding. So today I'm going to see how well can we apply ChatGPT to your development when it comes to Ninja scripting. And Randy, oh yes, this will be recorded as usual, just all our webinars are. Okay, so let's kind of get into like the objective of what we're going to try to do here. Okay, so I'm going to try to build a Ninja script strategy that's going to place two OCO order sets, that's stop loss and profit target pair, two kind of sets of those, if you will. Sort of like the idea is that you put like a kind of a narrow OCO on with another set that's a little wider, like a runner, right? So you imagine you're building a strategy, and your idea is to put something on that's a little tighter, maybe how you normally trade. I don't know if that makes sense. And then you have another pair that's like a little wider to capture like really large movements. Okay, so how can we go about doing that? And how I would approach it, I would say, okay, so first of all, I'm going to say there's absolutely no right or wrong way to do this kind of thing. Okay, what I present to you is just how I would approach it. And in development, there's often hundreds of ways to skin the cat, and there's no right wrong answer, but there's pros and cons to kind of every approach that you may take. Okay, so one particular way I like to approach things is to use something called design patterns. And this is something that when you get into when you've been developing software for some time, is a very useful, I would say, technology. I'm not sure what the proper term is. A technology to use to help further your design so that they're structured nicely, and you're not kind of reinventing the wheel, right? So what are these design patterns? Actually, I got a great idea. I'm going to bring in ChatGPT here, right? So I've got a new instance of that right here. Okay, and I'm going to ask it what are with in terms of software development, what are design patterns? Okay, you may never heard of them before because they're kind of like a software term, mostly for software architects. Okay, and the idea behind a design pattern is that, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure my screen is coming through okay.
Look good, Jeremy.
Yeah, okay, so you can see the chat window, no problem. The ChatGPT.
Yeah. Are
Okay,
you using GPT-4 or 3?
yeah, 4. So I'm a subscriber. So if you subscribe, and it's like $20 a month, I think it is, you do get some more advanced features, that being also included like ChatGPT 4, which is their latest. And having kind of used both, like ChatGPT 4 is quite superior to 3.5. Okay, so the thing is, it's basically telling me what a design pattern. Okay, so a design pattern again is, and it's exactly right. It's a reusable piece of, I wouldn't say code, but it's a structure that is very common. Like they're kind of like they're called patterns because they're used quite often when it comes to development in general, and they're problems that people have thought about really hard in terms of how can we solve these problems, and then they've kind of created these structures, and this is like a pattern that you can use to solve these problems. And so they're very useful to use, and kind of knowing what they are and being able to identify them is actually a very useful way to improve your skills as a software developer. Okay, so there's a couple of them that were listed there, but I'm going to name a couple that you're probably already using as if you're developing NinjaScript, and maybe not even aware that these are actual patterns. So one of the examples here is it's called the singleton pattern. And if you ever use the NinjaTrader.core.globals object, that's an example of what's called a singleton pattern, which is basically a single object. I mean, we name these things as software developers because it's easier to talk to our colleagues and wrap our heads around like some sort of pattern than it is to just describe the same thing over and over again to your colleagues. Plus, like these are structured in such a way that, again, they solve certain problems very well. The observer pattern is a very common one in Windows. Have you ever done Windows programming? In fact, in NinjaTrader, the account objects have these listeners that you can tie into, right? When it comes to like on order updates and on position updates for the account, and you can, they're like events. You can add your code to listen in whenever there's like an order being updated, and then you can take action. So that's in NinjaScript. The template pattern, in fact, NinjaTrader uses very heavily, and that's actually what the strategies and indicators are. So an indicator is really just a derived class from base class indicator base, which is again derived again to indicators, which typically when you're creating an indicator, that's what you're deriving from. And and in there's on bar update, the state change, on state change, I think it is, those are kind of templated methods that are intended to be overridden, right, by you. So that's what the template pattern. So today we're going to kind of focus on the unfortunately aptly like named strategy pattern, not to be confused with NinjaScript's strategies. Okay, it just happened to be named the strategy pattern, unfortunately. So if I'm going to be throwing the word strategy out there quite a lot, and I'm not talking about the NinjaScript strategy. I'm talking about strategy pattern, what that is. Okay, and I thought it would be quite apt to have ChatGPT talk about what the strategy pattern is. Okay, it's a very simple pattern. Okay, all right. The strategy pattern, yeah, actually, it sort of talks about it up there, but you can almost think of it like a plugin architecture in a way, right? And the idea is you maybe have an object, and then you have some behaviors that you want this object to have, right? And so the example it's giving is like sorting an array or something like that. And there's many ways to sort an array, and there's many different algorithms to do that. And so you can, if you define kind of like what the overall strategy should do, which is in this example, sort an array, then you can, that's the behavior, right? Then you can actually implement different algorithms based off this one, based off sorting in this example, right? So what we're going to do actually is do something very similar to this, but it's going to be with managing stop losses. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that the goal was to create sort of this the ability to manage at least two different distinct order sets, and these order sets can have, you know, a quantity, right? So you maybe have 10 contracts that are narrowly traded, and then maybe you have a runner pair that's like one contract each, right? So that's two separate order sets, two different quantities. You know, and we describe things like, you know, and I've just sort of made this up when I was kind of building this. I figured, okay, well, let's just keep it simple. Let's just describe like maybe how many ticks out that profit target is going to sit, and then let's have something called a strategy pattern describe how the stop loss is going to behave. Okay, and so at the outset, the first thing I'm going to build is I'm going to build a simple trailing stop loss. Implement this using the strategy design pattern, and then I'm going to show you why I do this. Okay, because I don't want to just show you something that simple, like, you know, just showing you just a trailing stop loss. Like, I mean, that's not very exciting. But trust me, just go with me, and when we kind of get to the point, I'll show you how little code you need to write to sort of switch the behavior up and implement something else. If you've kind of designed everything in sort of a well-structured way. Okay, so let me just minimize that. All right, so I've got here basically the my developer's environment, right? This is the this is the file structure here. Okay, this is your bin custom folder, and inside of NinjaTrader, NinjaTrader 8, there actually is a Visual Studio project. Okay, and so I'm sorry, I have quite a lot of stuff in here, including all the shark indicator stuff. There it is right there. Okay, so you'll see the same thing in your folder, the ninjatrader.custom.cs proj. Okay, and if you double click that will, if you've installed Visual Studio, okay, and you don't need to use Visual Studio, but I will say it is free. There's a community version that you can use. It'll open you to something like this. Okay, so I'm going to use my full-blown Visual Studio developers environment. This is the environment this is the thing I use when I'm building shark indicator products. You know, so this is you know, this is the full deal here we're going. Okay, so I'm gonna open up NinjaTrader real quick here. Okay, and so I'm just gonna log in here. Keyboard macro is having a little trouble there. Okay, there we go. How many of you guys are always finding you're gonna have to log in all the time to NinjaTrader? Now, especially if you develop, if you develop in NinjaTrader, and it was one of our staff members that told me this, hey, why don't you just get a special keyboard and press a key so you can just, you know, put your password in there onto the key press. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So that's a little tidbit there I thought was pretty clever, and one of our staff members has that. Okay, so I'm starting to open up NinjaTrader. I haven't quite got my so this is actually kind of an empty chart. I'm just dragging windows in here. Okay, let me just quickly get some market data here. Okay, because we're gonna need it eventually. Right. Okay, and this chart might be kind of broken here. I might have to just make a new one here, and I'll do that later. But what I really want to do is open up the NinjaScript editor, because we're going to start building it using the NinjaScript editor, because why not, right? That's a nice thing about it. It'll kind of make you a quick template, and you might as well just take advantage of it. Okay, we're going to just leave it as my custom strategy. Okay, and I'm just going to blast through all this because I don't really care about these, except and in fact, I'm I might just click a couple of these off. I know I need the execution. I'll explain why in a minute. Let's just go with that. Okay, right. And just hit finish, generate. All right. Another way to get Visual Studio open is you can actually just click this button here. I highly recommend doing it. So there's a bit of setup, and I'm going to show you how to do that because you know, if you're developing, spending some time developing stuff, once you kind of use Visual Studio, it is difficult to go back, right? You know, not only that you get the syntactical highlighting of Visual Studio, but you can put awesome like tools in there. Okay, and this is really cool. I want to show you as well, kind of the state of the art AI when it comes to development. Okay, there is a GitHub Copilot, which is installed on Visual Studio for me. And I tell you, there's sometimes where I feel like it's reading my mind. It's incredible. Okay, so unfortunately, I did not see that it added the it did not add the strategy properly. So I'm just going to manually go in and add my custom strategy there. Okay. Let's just. Okay, so this is because the NinjaTrader is also writing to that project file. So making sure there's no kind of conflicts there. Okay, so to be clear, what happens when you build in this NinjaScript editor versus when you build in this environment back here are two different things. All right. So if you build here, what ends up happening is it creates a NinjaTrader.custom.dll. And that DLL is dynamically loaded immediately into NinjaTrader. And really that's sort of the magic DLL, if you will. Okay, so but when you build here, okay, NinjaTrader has actually set up this project so that it doesn't necessarily build the custom DLL in the right directory. What ends up happening is it actually builds it inside another bin directory. So inside of, again, NinjaTrader bin custom bin, right? So there's actually like two bins, if you will, right? So the Visual Studio will build it inside another bin directory, inside a debug directory, and then you'll see a NinjaTrader bin or NinjaTrader custom.dll in here. Okay, so don't get those confused. Okay, you got to be sort of a little bit aware of which custom DLL you're dealing with. Okay, so NinjaTrader will not load that one. So actually, what you need to do if you plan on using this as a debugger as well, and I highly recommend you do that because debugging using the Visual Studio debugger it just makes everything so much easier. It is worth the effort that I'm going to show you to do this because you just configure this one time, and then you'll see in a minute. You can breakpoint in and it saves you a hell of a lot of time. Okay, so in the NinjaTrader custom project, you go to properties, and then you go to I think it's debug. There's a post one here. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit build events. Okay, you go to build events, and you really just copy the DLLs that are being built, the DLL that's being built, and just copy it up to the appropriate folder. Okay, and I also copy the NinjaTrader custom.pdb file. That's program debug file, and those are kind of debug symbols that help the debugger figure out what, give it more context, if you will. Okay, so it's nice to copy both, but that's kind of the magic line there. Okay, so I will throw this kind of into chat so you guys can see that and perhaps use it. So let me just there. Okay, so those are the two magic lines to copy. Really, just again, you're just copying the NinjaTrader custom DLL that's being built from the Visual Studio, and you're kind of going up two directories into the appropriate NinjaTrader bin custom folder. Okay, and what that lets you do is it makes sure that the actual DLL that was built is the one that's going to be executed. So it's exactly your code that that's our Visual Studio's building it so that it can breakpoint into it. Okay, so now you can't just sort of do that while NinjaTrader is running, right? Because you can't just copy over a custom DLL when NinjaTrader is open, because it's using it already, right? So you actually have to close down NinjaTrader first whenever you build, right? So another shortcut, so I'm going to close this down. Okay, another shortcut, I go back to properties, you go to debug, is under here you have start action, and you just click on start external program, and just make sure you point it to your NinjaTrader.exe. So this is my programs files, my NinjaTrader exe. And once you've done that, save your project, okay, by hitting save. Okay, so now you got the build event, you got the copy over here, you got the debug over here, you got those two settings. Okay, those are the two critical things you got to do. Once you do that, if I build it, and hopefully there's no errors. Okay, so never fails whenever you're in the middle of a presentation, you'll start to get these things. I'm just going to get rid of these guys. Okay. Okay, let's do that again. Pardon me. Don't mind me. I've got my coffee because I'm a little bit tired today. Okay, built properly. And let's just do a quick check of the output and make sure it did the copy. Maybe it did. Yeah, okay, so it looks like it did the copy right there. No, that's just the build. Let's verify by just taking a quick peek at the build date. 2:25 p.m. It looks correct. That was just 1 second ago. Okay, now when I hit start, it's going to run NinjaTrader, but it's going to also attach the debugger to it, which is where all the power comes in. Okay, there we go. And just to prove my point, I'm just going to let it go up. I'm just waiting for it to load here. Okay, there she goes. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. We actually don't need that window anymore. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and take that off, make a new chart. Right, let's just pick the first instrument we see. Let's make sure it's 24/7. So markets. All right, there we go. I'm gonna just get some market data. Okay, add the new my custom strategy to it. Actually, before I do that, guys, I am going to, let's just ignore that. Okay, I'm going to pop my breakpoint in there. Okay, and actually, immediately this is hooked up and working when you get a solid red circle, because if it isn't, you'll see a little warning thing there, and that circle won't be filled in properly. But now, if I go ahead and add my custom strategy, boom, you can see it just hit the breakpoint. NinjaTrader is actually calling this now to set the default values and stuff like that, right? And here we are. So look at this. I can now breakpoint through. Fantastic. Okay, I would highly recommend taking those steps if you haven't done something like that yet, because it will save you tons and tons of time going forward. How many of you guys have done debugging using print statements and logging stuff out? Well, I'll tell you, like once you kind of use integrated design or integrated developers environment like this, and use breakpoints, it's very difficult to go back. Okay, so I like to get things set up properly before even starting. I'll spend time doing that, okay, because it's just totally worth it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop that now. All right, and we got our custom strategy up here. Now, if you do recall, I had this little slide here saying, I want at least some kind of order set object. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a separate file just so we don't clutter this one too much. Right, it's always good to sort of keep your files, each file kind of separated by kind of what the concern that it's addressing. In this case, we're going to use these so-called order set objects to be sort of like almost like a configuration object, and as well as a kind of like a state object to maintain the state of the the three order sets, right? Or three orders. We got the entry, the profit target, stop loss. Okay. Now, for those of you guys are real sticklers, and I'll be the first to concede again, right? There's no right or wrong here. And I did kind of debate this, kind of going back and forth whether I should do this or not. But by putting kind of like my order data into this particular object, I'm actually kind of mixing this class's responsibilities a little bit, from being kind of not just a configuration kind of object, but also a state object, which is not necessarily the best thing to do, but I want to keep things a bit stable, or sort of simple. Okay, I don't know if you noticed there, but this is actually the Copilot kind of predicting what I might want to type. And in fact, it actually predicted the stop loss before I typed it, which is pretty neat when you think about it. It's kind of looking at everything that's open right now, and it's trying to. That's pretty cool. See, it's predicted the quantity. It's exactly what I want, actually, and it's making smart predictions using the AI again. ChatGPT 3.5, a finely tuned version of it to make predictions of what you might be wanting to put down, and it is pretty cool when it gets it. Like, okay, so right there, I mean, I don't even know how it knew I was going to type that, to be honest. So I want to know how many ticks. I want to keep a see, and this is really neat. See, look at that. It's already predicting. Maybe you want the stop loss ticks. Well, we're going to do something a little bit more fancy than that. What I'm going to do here, before I type that out, I'm going to create an interface. Okay, and this is the crux of the strategy pattern behavior. Okay, so I'm going to create a stop loss behavior interface that will describe that'll allow me to describe what, how the stop loss is going to behave, right? And I don't know if you saw that too. Again, it predicted I want that as well. Okay, so again, this is GitHub Copilot. It is also subscription cost. I think it's about $100 a year, at least when I signed up. And it's pretty amazing. So when it gets it right, it's unbelievable. So this is me just kind of, and I'll just kind of like describe this after I type it out. So I did have an opportunity sort of kind of pre-design it, because I knew, like, when it comes to doing this live, I might actually kind of freeze and get tongue-tied and forget what I'm trying to do here. But presumably, so basically, when it comes to the stop loss behavior, right, I kind of want to do this thing where after the fill of the entry, I want to figure out, okay, well, I got to put a stop loss out. Where am I putting it? So that's kind of what this first method is for, is to calculate, allow this object. Again, this is a strategy object, okay, for the strategy pattern, not to be confused with the NinjaTrader strategy. Okay, so this particular guy is going to tell me where I'm going to put my stop loss, and then what to do, where it's going to go, and how it's going to update on every market update, right? Which is every tick. So I've got those two parameters, right? Right. And I know for a fact that the market, in fact, I'm cheating a little bit here because like I said, I've got some notes, but what I want to do is pass the information coming from the market update to this guy right here. Okay. And right, might not necessarily know that off by heart. So let me go ahead and find out what that is. Right. So let's go and get the market data. Override that. And that's a market data events object args. And I'm going to stick that through here. So this, whatever this implementation is, it'll be able to take that data and properly deal with it. Okay. All right. Okay. So I've got, and like, I kind of like when I built this, right, I sort of, I would sort of start this way. And then, I'm skipping a few steps of iteration, but generally speaking, I would sort of build a little bit, just sort of build it out with some ideas of what it might look like. Then I would try plugging it in or working it into the strategy or working into the main code, if you will, and then find that, okay, I need to change it up a little bit. And I kind of go through this iterative cycle until I come at sort of, a design that works. So you can't really think of every single thing right off the outset, or at least I've never been able to. And that there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm skipping a fair bit of this, fair bit of steps, if you will, to the thought process. But nonetheless, those are the kind of the base objects I'm going to start with. Okay. So I actually have, this is also another part of GitHub Copilot, and it's basically also based off of ChatGPT. The difference is, though, this one is using ChatGPT 3.5, which isn't quite as clever as ChatGPT 4, but the neat thing is this one is actually fine-tuned for coding languages, but also, somebody asked, is the Copilot based on AI? It is. It's based on, again, ChatGPT 3.5. But this is also just like ChatGPT chat. Okay. The difference is this one actually is fed in some information about your code. So sometimes it gets the context a little bit, it actually gets the context better than ChatGPT 4, because it just has more information to work with. But like I said, it just isn't quite as clever. Okay, so like, let's just try this out. And guys, this is the way I actually code. Like, I don't, this, on some level, like I'm not going to obviously ask it stuff I already know the answer to, but like any developer, you can't expect them to know everything all the time. And even though I've been developing NinjaScript, gosh, it's at least been 10, maybe 11, 12 years now. It's just straight, like, 40 plus hours a week.
15.
15 years. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Plus.
Yeah, I am old. Sometimes I feel old,
I got your back.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've been developing for a long time, but I don't remember everything. So before these AI models came out, I would literally just Google everything. Okay. So one of the first things I want to do, okay, I got two questions I need to answer, right? Because I don't want to create an entry signal. This is not kind of what this one's about. So first of all, I want to figure out, I don't remember the exact way how to put this into unmanaged mode, or at least I'm pretending not to, because But say you don't, okay? I say, I'm going to ask ChatGPT 3.5, how do I set this strategy into unmanaged mode? Okay. We don't know if this is going to get it or not. I'll explain the answer in a bit because, okay, so it wasn't quite what I was looking for. However, you can tell that it has some knowledge, right? That is correct. Okay, you do use submit order unmanaged, and generally that's kind of how you would use. That's how you would call it too. Actually, that looks pretty reasonable to me. The issue is that's not how you would set the strategy into unmanaged mode. Okay, so sometimes these chat bots will lead you to kind of down the wrong path, right? So let's just ask ChatGPT before, just be safe. Okay, but with ChatGPT before, you got to be a little more specific because again, it knows it could be anything you're literally talking about. So I'm going to say using in fact, I would ask it usually. I'll go say like, are you familiar with NinjaTrader and NinjaScript? And immediately they'll let it know that your following questions are going to be pertaining NinjaScript, and that's very important to do because if you just start talking unmanaged strategies, it's gonna be like, well, what do you you could be talking about literally any topic, right? And it's not a mind reader. Okay. So how do I set a strategy into unmanaged mode? And my grammar, I know, is not very and my typing apparently unmanaged. Yeah. Okay. I think the first time I tried this, I was like, what is unmanaged mode? Okay, so it's all right. So here's the thing about these LLMs, okay? They aren't kind of all seeing, all knowing. They seem like it sometimes, right? But as you can see, if you're this relatively simple question, it got wrong. Right. So it's just these things are designed to just create text that sound correct. They may not actually be correct, right? So clearly it doesn't know what I really meant. This time at least. The first time I asked it, I think it was correct. But it's going on about the calculate mode, which is another mode that's in NinjaScript. So I mean, as you can tell, this thing's just working cold here, right? This is it actually does know obviously something about NinjaTrader, and it knows something about the API of NinjaScript, but specifically it kind of is a little bit off based. However, it did get this right. Okay, so again, it for some reason talk about the calculate mode, which we don't care about, but it did get that correct. So let's just go ahead and do that. In fact, it's a little bit odd about that one. You would generally set that in the set defaults, not I think it is managed. All right, don't make me look about good old Google again here. All right, it is called is unmanaged. That's pretty tricky. Is unmanaged equals false. Okay, at least the predicting code predictor got it. So as you can see, incorrect. Okay, but does that mean it's useless? No. You just got to be you got to know when to use it and when and not to use it. Okay, so there are definitely times where actually Google may be better in terms of finding out these answers. So and I'm actually going to switch a little bit here. Okay, and I'm going to create a new chat, but I'm going to let it look up internet data. So I'm going to let it browse. Okay, so if I choose that, that actually they've designed this one so it's smart enough to simply do a web search on your behalf, read their web page, and then report back what it's read, right? And that's actually kind of combining because like these AI models, right? They're basically static. It's not entirely true, but they're basically static with whatever they're trained with, whatever their knowledge base was at the time of training. That's kind of where their knowledge is more or less cut off. Okay, so that means that when it comes to very specific information like this, it may not actually know everything, and so it'll just start guessing. And unfortunately, it doesn't actually tell you when it's guessing. It just does it and tells you that's the truth, right? So that's why this is kind of useful. If you have the premium subscription of ChatGPT, you can actually tell it to browse, right? So the second thing I need to know, okay, because I don't really want to sit here and kind of reinvent the wheel. I want to put 2 buttons up there, and I want to just like have a long and short button so that you can just go in long and short. I'm not interested in sort of like, digging through and figuring out how to do that properly, or coding that myself, because I know there's examples out there. So I'm just going to go same sort of tactic using NinjaScript. For NinjaTrader, how do I add 2 buttons to the chart within a strategy, right? And this one is actually smart enough to go out and fetch the data. Okay, it's gonna fire up a web browser kind of in the background, and it's gonna ask. And this is where it's actually really excels. It knows what to Google, which is also another thing too. For those of you that attended my webinar like 3 years ago, I actually did a little section on, like when you're coding, like how to Google something. I mean, it sounds like trivial, but it's not, because a lot of things that things that you may encounter, you might actually you might have to look them up, and depending on how you're querying the search engine will obviously affect the kind of results you get back. And so actually ChatGPT is at least what I found is not too bad at this. Okay, so all right, so it's going through the general steps here. I'm a little impatient. I'm going to just check the references because I'm not too it's kind of going over a lot of stuff I don't really need as well. But there should be kind of like code out there, and let's see if it found it. Nope, that's not it. Let's try this one to event handling. Yeah. Okay. It looks like kind of what led me down the wrong path on this one, right? However, given the benefit of kind of preparation, the first time I did ask it, it basically found a web page from the NinjaTrader site itself that had an example that showed you how to do exactly what I needed, which is add a long and short button. So I literally just took that code, and I'm going to pop it in there because, again, I don't really care too much about teaching that particular thing at the moment. I just want to show you the strategy stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just going to cut and paste it, right? Okay, so again, this is not magic, guys. I looked it up, used Google, and I just cut and paste the example just to kind of get this going here. So I'm going to quickly cut and paste the necessary code just to get the chart up. And we're really not going to bother explaining it because, again, this is just code that was, for lack of a better word, ripped off from the internet, ripped off from NinjaTrader themselves. It's an example to put up your buy and sell buttons, and it even had, conveniently enough, a cleanup routine that will do. Okay, and let's just get rid of that first because. Okay, so let's just kind of pause for a second here and build it up and make sure at least this part works, because this is one thing too, right? When you're coding, don't sit there and like try to build everything 100% out and then run it for the very first time, right? You're just going to compound your work. Better off building little piece by little piece, right? Build a little piece, test it out, make sure at least that little piece works first. And that way, okay, you can sort of put that in the done column, then you can build on top of that, right? If you try to build everything out and you don't even run it, you're gonna find that most of your debugging efforts going to be trying to figure out which piece is actually broke first, before even you're just going to set yourself for extra work, is what I'm getting at. So what I'm going to do is to make sure at least the buttons do work. Okay, so I'm going to build that out, run that up, and how I'll know that is if those breakpoints hit. Okay, so I'm going to wait for NinjaTrader to load. I'm going to look at some of the questions here. All right, I've discovered it's Matthew says, okay, sorry, let's go back. Can you use ChatGPT to implement machine language into NinjaScript? I'll tell you about, okay, so that's an interesting one, because actually I've been facing the same sort of issue. Because it depends. I guess when you say machine learning, I guess you're probably referring to the latest stuff like the LLMs. Like ML is a very huge topic, right? So if you're talking about machine learning in general, yeah, ChatGPT is actually quite well versed in ML. A lot of the kind of more traditional, in quotes, more traditional ML technologies. But when it comes to the LLMs themselves and the most cutting edge stuff, which is like, Azure ML, and gosh, I forgot the one for AWS, but they all have them now, right? They all have their LLM technologies. It's a little fuzzy on that stuff because that is just so cutting edge, and so I suspect that'll probably improve over time. You can ask it to help you with that, certainly, but I kind of say that's a very broad topic, let's just say, and it really depends on kind of specifically what you're looking for. Matthew says, I've discovered it's helpful to mention the version when inquiring about NinjaTrader with ChatGPT. For instance, could you demonstrate this in NinjaTrader 8? Well, that's some good insight. I've always kind of assumed ever since we moved to 8, I've totally forgot about NinjaTrader 7's existence. So I actually wasn't sure if ChatGPT even, like, I guess it probably is trained on in NinjaScript 7 as well, but yeah, at least I haven't really encountered that. That's a good tip, though, is to be more specific. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question and get back to it. Okay, so can you enhance the AI knowledge base by providing specific information into the chat session? So Kenneth, that's actually, in fact, that's exactly what the best thing you can try to do, and basically with ChatGPT, right? Okay, all this stuff here in your conversation is what's known as the context window. And so the more information you give it, right? In fact, if you've got kind of this question you really want to ask it, and there's a fair bit of background information it sort of needs to know before it can answer you properly, it does actually help to break your questions up into a couple different chat interactions, and ask one simple question first, kind of lead it down a path, get the answer back. Even if you know the answer, go ahead and just kind of lead it that way, right? Do it again and again until you got a context window that's sort of built up. Not too long, because they do kind of have a limit, right? But just get enough of it so that it knows the topic and your intention relatively clearly, and then you can ask your question. Absolutely, that's a very smart way to do it. So thanks.
Sounds like he's also asking if you can enhance the overall knowledge base by providing information. That's not something you can do directly into ChatGPT, right? You can't provide information that it will then have as part of its broader knowledge base, right?
Well, I mean, that's how you do it, right? Okay, so again, these LLMs are static, right? You can't just, it's not like you can teach it something and then go to sleep, come back the next morning, and then open up a new window and hope that it remembered what you said the other day. It doesn't learn like that, right? These models have already been pre-trained. They're done. for the most part. There's some nuances there, but for the most part, consider them as more or less done, right? So it's almost like it comes in completely fresh, and the only thing it's got to go off of is your chat history, right? So in fact, what I normally do, I have, as you can see, I've used ChatGPT quite a lot, right? Those are all my chats. Vast majority of them are development questions. And I will actually scroll through and I'll say, okay, I'll try to figure out if a question pertaining to a topic that I've talked in the past about. I will look through the tabs and I'll try to find the one that pertains most relevantly to my current question, right? So that it has that context story. So for example, if I'm asking it questions about SQL databases, and I had specific queries on, and I've already told it about, like, SQL structures, and sorry, not SQL structures, but table structures and relationships between the tables. Instead of going through describing all that stuff again, I will just go back to the tab, find it, and then ask my specific question about the tables or some SQL query that I need, right? So yeah, like it does pay to sort of keep that history. But in terms of teaching it new stuff, you can't really do that. Okay. So again, the other thing I showed you earlier is you can put it into the Bing browsing mode, and then it'll go out and search the answer for you, summarize it, and then spit the answer out to you. Right. So that's kind of a way to augment its knowledge, if you will. All right. Okay. So where were we? I tend to get a little sidetracked, and I hope I'm not. Okay, oh my gosh, we're at an hour already. So thanks for sticking with me, guys, by the way. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up a chart. Like I said, this will be kind of a workshop style, right? So I don't have any sort of particular time limit here, guys. So if we do kind of run long, as long as you guys don't mind, I don't mind sort of just chatting it up. And okay, that's another thing. What I'm going to do here, I forgot to mention a little tidbit here. Okay, so as you notice, I had to recreate the chart. Okay, and that's because when I shut down NinjaTrader last time, I actually hit the stop button back here in Visual Studio, right? So it didn't have a chance to save my workspace. So a little tidbit here: save your workspace, and then you won't have to do that again, because otherwise you just find yourself repeating it over and over again. Okay, it's simulated data. Okay, and let's go ahead and add my custom strategy. And it should put those buttons up. It sure did. Okay, so I copied that code correctly and I hit long. Boom. Okay, so you broke breakpoint right there into the buy clicked. We're good. Okay, so I verified that. Let's get off that now. Okay. All right. All right, let me just get my orientation here correctly. Okay, so I think in a previous webinar, I was like, one of the best ways to sort of, code is, and there's no right or wrong, right? But what I like to do is like think, okay, what do I need to have done, and try to write it in English first. Turns out, that happens to be a very, very good way to get the AI to help you, right? Okay, so I'm going to pseudocode this using English first, and I'm going to say, all right, what do I need to get done here? First of all, let me just call the base class. That's just good. What do you call it? That's just good practice, even though I'm pretty sure the base class doesn't actually do anything. Right, so let's just. My spelling is oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? Let's just do it the quick way. I think I've had too much coffee now, because like I'm kind of like struggling with my keys here. Okay, let's just call the base class. Let's do it quick. So normally when I'm typing properly, that the AI would have figured out what I was trying to do by the time I hit the first or second word, and it would have just suggested it. But all right, that was the old-fashioned way. Okay, so what I need to do, okay, when we have an execution, right? Again, that method's being called when a order's filled. Okay, So the way it kind of works is an order changes its state, goes to a filled state. So you get an on order update call. And then immediately after, if it happens to be a fill, you get an on execution update. And and that's where what we're going to do is presumably we have an entry fill at this point, and we're gonna but of course the on execution update, it's called for every execution, not just entries. Okay, so this could be a fill for an exit order as well. So we need to only take action if it's a entry order. Okay, so we need essentially when an entry order is filled, we need to issue stop losses and profit targets. Okay, so let's just it even predicts my comment. It's pretty cool. And let's just put in part filled as well, because we want to be able to handle split fills, right? Right, so that's step number one. Okay, the code it's sort of suggesting me is pretty useless there. Okay, but basically what the way that works out is I'm looking at the execution object, and I'm looking at the order action. Okay, so in the execution object, you have the order that got executed. That's execution.order. And you're looking to see if it was a entry order. Okay, and to know if it's an entry order, the way you distinguish that is you look at the order action. And if the order action is a buy, or if it is a no, sell, sorry, if it is sell short, that's an entry order. Okay, versus if it's a buy to cover or a sell action, that's actually an exit order, meaning to close a position, right? So this is a buy to open a position. And this is just simply how NinjaTrader is set it up. But it actually makes a fair bit of sense once you've been doing it for a while. So actually, I do think it's quite clever. Oh my gosh, my typing is just not working out today. Okay, execution. Thank God, like it's smart enough to just predict me, so I don't actually have to do the typing. It's for some reason I'm all thumbs today. Okay, sell short. Okay, so that's that line there is to test if it's an entry. Okay, right. Now, once we determine it's an entry, we got to start issuing exit orders. So all right. Okay, so earlier I basically had an order set object. Okay, and if you recall, the goal was to create sort of a main one and a runner. So this is both a configuration thing as well as it's going to maintain the state, right? So I actually need kind of a data structure to hold this stuff, right? And when I was sort of building this out, I was like, I tried a couple of things. I tried building a strategy or using a dictionary, but ultimately I decided, I'm going to go with a list. Okay, so I'm going to have a list of order sets, right? And I apologize, I'm jumping around just a little bit. Did I spell that right? Let's take a quick look. Order set, NinjaTrader custom strategies. The reason why I'm questioning that is because it's not green like it should be. And we'll solve that one a little bit later. Okay, let's create a new order set. Sorry, a new list of order sets. Let's just see what's going on here. Custom strategies. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna change the namespace. That's what's messing things up. Okay, so let me explain what I'm doing real quick here, because coding, you come across these weird little things all the time. Okay, so just be aware as well, guys, when you create a new file in Visual Studio, it will default to using a namespace that is structured like your directory structure. And so in that case, it created one called NinjaTrader.custom.strategies. But as you can see, the Ninja script, the strategies, this my custom strategy is actually under a different namespace. That's why I didn't recognize it. So I just changed the namespace up there to match. And this is why the color coding is so good and necessary is you can tell immediately something's wrong, right? So now that I've set it properly, everything looks hunky dory. Okay. And I'm gonna jump around a bit. Okay. So I'm sorry if this is maybe a little hard to follow, but sometimes this is how my brain works, right? I will jump here and I'll be like, well, actually, wait a minute, there's a step I'm missing. I need to do this, right? And so sometimes I do find like I'm jumping back and forth. That's just, again, there's no right or wrong way to do this, but this is just kind of like how, at least when I'm building something else, this is how I think. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill these up with something, just to start with, and I'm going to put that kind of like in the configuration. So order sets. Let's add some new ones here. Okay, so we want, again, the main one here. Okay. And gotta start the exit. Okay, so this is going to be the main. We're gonna call this guy the main order set. Main OCO. Let's just type something in here. Okay, so I'm going to hard code these numbers for now, right? Later we can make variables for them. It's kind of guessing for me already. This is great. Okay, so I haven't built this yet, but as you can see, ChatGPT is like, oh, do you mean like something like this? Right, because it's like a fixed text. That's pretty clever, but that's not quite what I wanted. I wanted just a regular trailing stop. Okay, I haven't built any of this stuff yet, but so let's just leave it like that for now. Most likely, I will probably put something in there with some sort of ticks. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this again, right? And this is going to be the runner. For now, I'm going to do pretty much the exact same thing, just change the quantity maybe to 10. Okay, now, if I had more time, and I hope I don't, I'm guessing I probably don't have to show this you guys, because I'm sure you guys know how to do this already, right? Okay, but I could go ahead and make some private and public properties, exposing things like, what's the profit target ticks will be, that sort of thing, like that, right? Okay, and even set to some default values, and then I just pipe them into here, right? So these, and this object is going to be kind of like a configuration object. Okay, but just in the interest of time and brevity, I'm not going to bother you. I'm just going to hard code this stuff. Okay, so either way, right? Yeah, I'm not going to show you stuff that I'm sure you already know how to do. Okay, so let's focus on this for a second. Okay, so I want a trailing stop loss, and basically I need it to kind of implement this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file here, and let's call this one stop loss behavior implementations. Okay, and again, guys, all right, again, it's sort of put the wrong namespace in there. Not wrong, there's no right or wrong, sorry. Put a namespace in there I didn't really intend, so I'm going to place it with that. Okay, make that public, and I'm just gonna inherit the I stop loss behavior. As I just typed the letter I, the AI was like, do you mean this? And yes, that's pretty much what I meant. Okay, and I'm going to look at this closely, because this may or may not be, this may actually be pretty reasonable already. Well, not quite. I think this first line is actually pretty good. Okay, we're missing a. Okay, we're missing a few references here. That's why we got some red lines. So make sure we got all our. Okay, so it didn't quite get the interface right. It must have messed up what looks like maybe one of the parameters. I'm just checking really closely here. No, it actually looks all right to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete that. Okay. Anyways, what it's saying here is basically taking some number. Let's just kind of break this out a little bit. So let's take that out and assign it to something, right? And let's just analyze it. So sometimes I'll do this. I'll actually, like, you know, especially if oh, that's weird. So it kind of did something funky. It sort of did it rounding twice, which obviously we don't need. Okay. And it's sort of presumed I've got some kind of I've got a hard number there. Now, if you recall, the way I sort of pseudocoded this out here is I said I would kind of feed it in some initial tick value, right, in the constructor. So let's start with getting the name right. Yeah, okay. I didn't mean for it to be called stop loss behavior implement. I meant this file would collect a couple of these. Anyway, so like, let's go ahead and make the constructor here ticks. Okay. Oops, ticks. Okay, so this will be the tick offset. Right, and shortcut key. I'm using another tool that also kind of helps me speed development. It's called DevExpress Code Rush, and it's not quite an AI, but it does do certain patterns really quickly. So I can hit a key code, and then I can just say, okay, just quickly create a field and assign it, things like that. It just speeds up development. It's always a little nice. Okay, so all right, so this is not quite correct, but it's kind of like it's actually like not bad. It's sort of saying, all right, take the average fill price, and it's assuming a long position, as you can see, and for some reason that's not right, is it? I thought that, okay, it's the word average. Okay, so that whoever mentioned that NinjaTrader 8, you're right. That was the way it was in NinjaTrader 7, was this AVG fill price. The new NinjaTrader 8 kind of syntax is the full word average, right? Okay, so average fill price minus 10 ticks. So it's obviously assuming a long position, but that's not quite what we want, because we want to be able to we want to change it depending on the long or short position as well, right? Okay, so to make sure we do that, we got to actually test which direction we're trading, and to do that, we just I thought we had a thing here. All right, okay, we can tell which direction we are by looking at the order object. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let's just see how clever it is here. If we are long, calculate stop loss price, and let's just see what it comes up with. Okay, that's pretty good. So sometimes you got to prompt it a little bit, and I think the issue here again is it's probably using NinjaTrader 7. So let's just find the NinjaTrader 8 equivalent is rounded 2 tick, now with the 2, right? Rounded tick, and we now know it's average, not average, or average fill price, minus ticks times the strategy's tick size, and it looks good to me. Okay. Right. Sometimes, like, I will actually type that out and be like, let's just see if it'll come up with that, because it does save you time, and then you don't have to use your brain anymore. You can just sort of let the AI do it for you, right? It's always nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do a new one here. Oops, I'm not sure why I said that. Okay, anyways. I'm gonna use ChatGPT to actually write this one out. I'm gonna go given NinjaTrader, Ninja script in NinjaTrader. I have implemented, again, this goes back to earlier, like feeding it the proper context, right? It's a little bit of work. Imagine if we say you're coding away, I would have probably had this context built up already. So I wouldn't be typing this cleaning these from scratch. In fact, when I was doing this in preparation, I sort of had that done. So I imagine I've implemented a strategy and the following code. And what I find, guys, is if you're going to give it kind of a code or a quote, what's really useful is to use triple quotes. Okay, so not two quotes, not one quote, triple quotes, because actually a lot of the training data use triple quotes to sort of encapsulate code or quotes or whatever, right? It's actually actually understands triple quotes quite well. Okay, so I use triple quotes. I say, imagine I have implemented the strategy in the following code. Okay, I'm going to feed it my order set object, like so. Okay, you gotta give the AI as much context as possible. And can you help me implement the and we want this one, the calculate on market update. Calculate on market update, which will be called during the strategies on market update. Let's see what it comes up with. Certainly. Okay. All right. So you can tell just by reading that first paragraph, it understands the assignment, right? That this is to compute a new stop loss price every on market update. Exactly. That's what we intend. Okay. And here it's actually implementing the entire trailing stop loss. Okay, so you can tell it had the same issue as the other one. It kind of got the it's assuming kind of a long entry. However, look at this. It's actually smart enough to figure out, okay, if it's long, do this. If it's short, do this. And as far as I can tell, I'm just glancing at it, but it looks correct to me. Okay. So if it's long, it's going over, it's going to check it's going to make sure, see, it's actually even got the comment there, make sure to update the stop loss market only if the market price is higher, right? So that's why it's got the math.max there. Pretty clever. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay. That. All right. Now it's got a new stop loss field there. Let me just see what it intended. Yeah, stop loss distance. That's our ticks. Okay, right. Okay, so it's actually just taking it from here. Cool. Like that. And ticks is what we used instead. And that looks correct to me. Okay. Pretty cool, huh? It's like coding for you. All right. So that's gonna all work out right there. Let's go back to the let's go back to the harder stuff. Okay, that's how we're doing we're an hour and 20 in. Okay. You guys all still good? Or should I hurry it up? Or are you guys okay with the pace we're going at? Trader AP says, sorry I joined late, but all these IntelliSense code suggestions from Visual Studio's Copilot. Yes, they are. They're from Copilot, GitHub Copilot to be precise, which is a subscription service. Okay. Let me just look at some people are asking some pretty cool stuff here. Roderick Johnson's asking or saying that Yeah, so there's a concept called RAG. It stands for retrieval augmented generation, as he points out. And that's kind of a fancy, really, this is a really fancy way of describing this whole what a discipline around feeding or retrieving the most relevant amount of type of information for the LLM to process, is what that is. So there's this whole like kind of field that's like being built up called prompt engineering, right? And it's not just making good sounding prompts. It's a lot more to it than that. Right. I first heard, I was like, are you kidding me? Some people are getting paid like $250,000 a year to just type fancy, like to be AI whisperers or whatever, to type things into the AI to get desired output. Like, that sounds really easy. But as with everything, there's a lot more to it than you look into it. So this whole kind of science built around like how to retrieve specific data, specific web pages, how or whatever it may be. Like a lot of companies that have, like, they want to build an LLM, or they want to have user AI to look at company data, right? So the big challenge is what kind of, like, how do you know exactly what to feed it? And you don't want to just feed it junk or the wrong things, because that'll lead you down the wrong path. Not to mention that anytime you make a query with an LLM, that's a rather expensive thing in real dollars. Like, every time I type something into ChatGPT, or if somebody's built like a say an app based off of ChatGPT, and anytime you make a query, whoever built that app for you, they're getting charged like money, real money, every time you type something and it responds to you. So get pretty expensive quick if you're not efficient enough with it. Okay. Anyways, let's get back to this. So we got our order set objects kind of all like built out, and what we want to do is actually take those order set objects and use them to issue the exit orders. Okay, so first things first, we have two order sets that are in there, right? But we can't make any sort of like assumptions of how many we might have in there. We might have 6, whatever, right? So and we want to retrieve the most relevant, the relevant one. And I'm really, to be honest, I don't know how the AI figured this out, but that's exactly what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to find the order set that actually contains the entry, and voila, it sort of did that immediately. It did that for me. Like I said, it's almost uncanny. It's like it's sort of almost like reads your mind. It's crazy. All right, so yeah, we want to create the OC order. It's even predicting what I want for comments. And it's starting with the stop loss. Well, not quite. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there, AI. Starting with generating a unique OCO string, right? So this, so if you're not familiar with what I'm doing here, every time you create a OCO order, so profit lot, a profit target, stop loss combo, of course, is the most common. You do need to give it kind of like a unique ID, so that it knows, like, this is the pair, right? It can examine the OCO ID, and the broker knows, rather, it's a couple steps going on here, but NinjaTrader knows those two are meant to go together, and then it passes that information off to the broker, saying these two are a pair. Treat, if one cancels, make sure you cancel the other one, and it all does that by this OCO ID, which has to be unique, basically a unique string, and that's a pretty good suggestion. I had something different in my prep materials, but that the GUID, if you're not familiar with that, that's like a unique ID. You're pretty much guaranteed that is unique. So okay, so let's start with creating let's actually do the stop loss first. I tend to think that way first. Stop loss order. Okay. All right. So we're going to test to make sure it's not already in there. And the reason why is because this on execution update gets called every fill. Okay, so you have to think, if I get a partial fill, I will get called on this, even though I'm not quite done yet. So say you had 10 contracts, only 5 of them filled, this will still get called. You can you have an option here. You can sort of wait till everything is filled before taking any action. Although I would say that's a little risky, because that means you, at least for a split second, you may have an open position. So let's do something a little smarter. Let's kind of design this so that it will take action even on partial fills. Okay. So how do we know if it's if we're a partial fill, or we've never, sorry, how do we know if, like, we're in a situation where you know we haven't filled anything? Well, we just check to see if the stop loss is null, and then we're just going to issue the orders based off of the average fill price, which, as you recall, the stop loss behavior in this case will do that already. Okay, and it again correctly predicted that's what I wanted to do. Right, taking the stop loss behavior object, right, which in this case I've implemented, and I'm reviewing, so I'm jumping around. I've implemented as a trailing stop loss, and it's already kind of tuned to do the fill price, average fill price. Okay. Something else I've just noticed, guys, like, because I've just noticed that this is rounding to tick. We didn't do that down here because the other ChatGPT didn't suggest it, so I'm just going to add that in there. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're going to actually create the actual exit order. All right, so sometimes I will just I'll just see the suggestion, I'll just tab it and let it do its thing, and then I'll go in and I'll take a closer look and make sure this is correct. It is not quite correct though, because we do have to do like it for some reason just figured we want to sell. In other words, like it's only assuming the long side, not the short side as well. But so we actually need to do a test here and make sure that we are doing that only on the long side. Okay. And when we have a short position, we are doing a buy to cover. Okay. So again, those two are closing. These two are closing actions. That's what we want to do. That's what an exit order is. Okay. So we have an open position, and yeah, we want to stop market. We're going to do it not at a set quantity. That's not correct. Okay. We're only going to do it on the quantity that was filled. And to do that would be, I'm trying to remember if it's part filled or filled. Right. Okay. So we're going to look. We're going to look at the executions order. That's what we know that one's correct. And I'm just checking my notes here, guys, to make sure I'm not leading you guys down the wrong path. Okay. There we go. Filled. Okay. This initial 0, that's the bars in progress. We don't care about that. Limit price 0. Stop price, that's calculated over there, the OCO. And in terms of the signal, doesn't really matter. Okay. Now we're gonna set the stop loss, and as you can see, the AI has already predicted that for me. Okay. Right. Okay, so what if we're not null? Okay, so what if we're not null? What does that mean? Well, that means we had a fill and it was part filled, and now we're coming in again to complete the fill, And so what we need to do is actually change the order, the existing stop loss orders out there, and use, so again, this is the stop loss. Okay, this would have been set up here. Next time through, if it does come in again, that means like through deductive reasoning, we would have had, in fact, let's go, this is a part fill. This is completing, possibly completing a part fill, okay? And now we're just going to change the quantity to reflect the, you know, how much is actually filled, okay? So now I'm just going to do a little bit of a commentary. Let me type this out first and I can talk, okay? Because this is actually a very simple way to deal with split fills. It is not entirely foolproof though, okay? So the issue with this is that it's very possible that while you're trying to change the order's quantity, so your stop loss quantity to reflect the amount of the quantity that's filled, that by the time this hits the broker, it may actually already been filled. The stop might have been filled, okay? And the unfortunate part of that means is you will be left in some possibly a reverse position. Not reverse position. You'll probably have some contracts open, because imagine your stop loss got filled before you had a chance to get that change order out. So the quantity that your stop loss was actually too low, meaning you'll have a few naked positions open. So just be aware of that, because literally anything can happen. I will just say in our main product, BlackBird, we have kind of a different way of dealing with this. Okay, we don't just simply change the quantity of the order. We actually do issue stop losses on every single split fill separately and track them all separately because of that possibility. And because we do this change order, it's simple, but it's not entirely foolproof. Okay, so just beware. So if you're doing the same kind of thing, you know, just beware that very well could happen. And I actually chatted with Zach about that. Like, you know, I doubt that'll happen too much. And you know, he said, "Oh no, actually," and because he's obviously had a lot of experience with a lot of customers, and he's seen a lot of things. He says actually that would happen a lot more often than you would think it would. So, anyways, beware. Also, I'll just say the code that I'm writing today, you know, like it's only done within a couple hours. Like that is by no means a usable you know, a usable strategy by any means. You require a hell of a lot more time and more hours, and you know, I'm just blazing through you know, without really considering a lot of the exception things that could happen, but just for the interest of, you know, teaching, right? Okay, so we're going to create the profit target order as well. Same kind of idea. We're just going to calculate the profit target, which is this, which is just a limit order, and we don't have any kind of behavior you know, object or whatever to do this. We certainly could, right? But and again, in the interest of time, I've kept it really simple. And as you can see, the AI again, it's sort of assuming the long position. I'm impressed that it's doing this, but we do want to consider both the long and short scenarios, right? So we got to test the market position. Right, and we want the profit ticks, or the, I guess, the negative, positive, negative. We're just actually concerned about the sign of these things. And I think position. Okay. All right. Let's just take a quick look at that. That looks good to me. All right. All right. Let's let's create the profit target. Okay, I'll let it do its thing. It's now kind of caught on. As you can see, it's like, okay, I see you kind of need these now. So it's like, all right, let's take a look. Okay, yeah, that's right. If it's long, we want to sell. If it's short, we want to buy the cover. That looks good to me. It knows that's a limit. This is fantastic, guys. I've been coding for a long time, like 30 years. About 30, oh God, no. It's probably, yeah, 35 years. And to see kind of computers now being able to do this kind of thing, because I started back in the days where we were using not even these fancy developer environments. We were coding up in little teletypes, using something that would be no more sophisticated than a notepad. And now we got we even had like the ability to have the AI, even just what is that, IntelliSense? Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Just having the thing figure out what you're trying to do before you're doing it. It still just blows my mind. It's pretty fantastic, and I would say it's definitely increased my productivity a lot. So okay. All right, and this looks pretty good. So it as far as I can tell, it got it bang on. Okay. And same thing here. We're gonna change the order. Pretty much the same thing as this. I'm gonna be shameless, and I'm just gonna actually I'm just gonna copy it. I do that a lot actually when I'm coding. If I've written something close enough, I'll just go and copy the original code and then make the changes where I need it to go. Oh, so that's we want the limit price here, not there. Okay. As you can tell, that's also prone to a lot of bugs, right? So I almost made that mistake. I almost put the limit price in the stop price. At least that would have been pretty quick to catch. Okay. Let's do a little bit of cleanup here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just add a little bit of cleanup code. You know what? I'm just so you don't have to bear with it. I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick here by cutting and pasting some existing code that I've already prepared. But basically, I'm just going to clear the order sets, make sure. Otherwise, we're just going to have a kind of a memory leak situation going on here. Okay, I think that's enough to test out at least the placement. Okay, let's go ahead and build it. All right, built. That's a good sign. Okay, Kenneth is. I'm just looking at the random question here, so I'm answering totally out of order, guys. I'm sorry. So if I miss your question, apologize. But somebody's asking, what about the flatten all option here? Well, Kenneth, I'm just scoping it to a very simple. That's one thing. About this demo, I'm just going to scope it to a very simple kind of example. So it's not going to be it's not going to handle reversals. It's not going to handle flattening anything. It's just it's just the whole point of it is to show you kind of how I work actually, how I integrate AI with my development and give you some tidbits. Hopefully you pick up some good tips and tricks that I use at least on a daily basis. But by no means do I intend this to be some sort of actual tradable strategy or something like that, right? Okay, so let's fire up that simulated data, and again, I'm just going to make sure. Okay, so let's put the chart trader on. Nope, wrong button. Sorry, guys. Chart trader. Okay. As you see, I've got some leftover gunk from some testing before, so I'm going to close that all out. Okay. All right. Clean slate. Let's save the workspace. Enable the strategy. And what do we got here? Did I put a breakpoint on? We got a issue. Oh, okay, we got a null ref. All right, let's take a look at this. Could not find the. Okay, so what's going on here is, okay, this I encountered this quite a lot. Don't panic. Okay, so what I try to do is enable the strategy. If you recall way back when I did the test, I hit the stop debug. And so I found just through trial and error a lot, whenever you hit the stop button on Visual Studio and you got a strategy open, the next time you go back in and you try to enable it, actually it doesn't have, it's actually not connected to the chart for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to re-add it. And I find the way to avoid that, guys, is just simply close down NinjaTrader like this instead of just hitting the stop button, which I do by habit these days. So, okay, I'm gonna hit the long button, and oh, nothing happened, and for good reason, because I didn't hook up anything to the buttons. All right, so all right, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna close that down the proper way this time. And okay, so as you can tell, I have these sell and buy click buttons here, which right now don't do anything, right? So let's just create a quick create an entry order, right, method. All right, and let's kind of make one method that will be good enough to handle kind of either long or short, like just passing a direction. Oops. Okay. And what this is going to do is just determine, you know, again, which way we're trading, which will basically dictate. Here we go. Exactly what I want to do. What the order action is going to be. So if I go long, I want to buy. I'm going short. I want to sell short. Okay, and then we're going to iterate through each of the order sets, right? Because remember, we got in our example, we got 2 order sets, and we want kind of a main one, and then we want a runner. Okay, so I'm going to create 2 orders in this case, but as you can see, it doesn't matter if you had 2 or 6 or whatever. You can define as many as you want just by adding more in the configuration. And I'm going to create the order, and I'm going to quickly look to make sure everything looks right. We want the quantity. That's right. And these are market orders. We don't care about the OCOs on these ones. And then I'm just going to set the entry order to the order. Sorry, the entry. Okay, so go back to this object. Let me explain again. This little guy has got, this is what we call the configuration data, or configuration and the behavior. This is like the state up here. Okay, state. So I've got the entry order here, I got the stop loss order, I got the profit target. They're all neatly packaged in this little data object. You see why I did this? And so I can treat each one kind of as its own order set. Okay, and that way, when we go into something like this, we can retrieve the correct one, right? We're dealing with the right configuration, and that's why this kind of works. You know, we create the exit orders based off the configuration object that's already been preset, and we retrieve that by just examining the entry order. Okay, right? Is that sort of clear to everybody? Okay. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and fantastic. So it predicted what I wanted here. Create the entry order long. Okay, just awesome. Like, see how fast the AI makes coding these days. It's insane when it's right. Right. You also, the one kind of danger I think with AI is that it can make development a little dangerous, right? So if you're relying on it too much to the point where you're just blindly following what it's giving you, it's almost certainly not going to help you that much. It's going to probably cause more problems, more harm than good, right? What I'm saying is, like, it suggests something. Yeah, go ahead and take the suggestion, but go look through it. Make sure it's right. Make sure it's actually doing what you want it to do. Because, and if you don't understand it, ask it. Ask it to clarify. You can literally just copy it, put it into ChatGPT, and say, what does this do? I think you can even do that with the GitHub chat. Let's try this out here. Okay, I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to highlight this, for example. Okay, like that. I'm going to say, what does the selected code do? And I apologize if it's a little small. Okay, and it'll just churn out an answer. It'll basically describe what's going on. You can read through it. And actually, this is where it's quite good, right? Read through it, and then you can tell if it's actually doing what you intend to do, right? And if that's not good enough, you can go in line by line. You can say, what does it do? What does it do? What does it do? You can do that either here or in ChatGPT. Certainly, use that to your advantage, because you don't want to blindly trust the AI. It's only as good as kind of like the person driving it. All right, let's see if we get something here. Do I even have my, I guess we're on market data, are we not? Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. Okay, so I guess the managed strategies, I was probably wrong. This probably needs to be, oh, I had this backwards, didn't I? Is unmanaged. It's like a double negative, isn't it, guys? It is unmanaged. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, so let's kill that. Right. We have a setting in BlackBird that's like, is debug window or debug messages disabled, which is kind of a double negative, and I just haven't switched over to enable debug messages. So yeah, I mean, sometimes we developers kind of do that kind of thing, and it kind of messes with your brain. For computers, no problem though. They get that, that kind of stuff is no big deal. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Connect. Okay, let's go along. And another issue. This stop loss is null. All right, so it probably went in here. And let's just see here. Okay, well, let's go and debug this and figure out why that happened. Okay, so, all right, let's close that out. All right, I'm going to go into here first. Okay. And this is really the life of the developer, right? You can, whenever you have issues like this, you just got to step through it. You got to slog through it. Okay, we do have the order set. Looks like the entry order. Let me just take a look inside. All right, so this is why I like these developers environment. I can sort of just peer right into here, right? So I'm looking at the order set. I see the profit target's null, stop loss is null, the entry is something. That's exactly what we expected. All right, I create the OCO. I think I see the problem right here. We want equals null, not does not equal null. No. So a little thing like that can cause some issues, hey? So it jumps to there. You're changing an order, it doesn't exist, of course. All right, so we actually want equal. Don't be scared when you see those null reference exceptions. Those are actually the easiest by far to fix. There you go. Let's go in. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take these breakpoints off. All right, here we go. Simulated data. Let's close that out. Let's just start from scratch here, please. Thank you. Okay. Long. Okay, we got a position. We got the stop losses and profit targets. That's a good sign. It's always satisfying when you start seeing things like something working out. I'm gonna move these out of the way. Where's my little dial here? Okay, let's go up and see if the stop loss will start trailing. And actually, I'm thinking in my head, it probably won't, because my initial intention was to see if the initial placement worked out. It does. Okay, it works. Like I said, test your stuff like iteratively, you know, even though you're not finished. So we haven't actually implemented the on market update, right? So let's do that. Right, so we got the initial placement. We just saw that it works. And I'm not going to be doing too much more here. So guys, I apologize. We're closing in on the second hour already. Don't want to keep too much of your time here. Okay, same idea though with this one. I'm going to go through each of the order sets. Okay, and let's see what it had written already here. Okay, it's like if your stop loss is not null, good. We do need to test for that. We also kind of need to test to see if there is a stop loss behavior set. Okay. And what else is it testing here? Okay, I'm not sure what that is. We're going to take that right out. And now we need to calculate a new price on the market update. All right, and we actually need not the entry order, but we need the stop loss order here. Okay, so yeah, there's often some cleanup that has to be done. You know, it's not going to guess everything. So you try to figure out the market. It's like, oh, there must be a market position here somewhere in the set. So like I said, these engines will actually kind of make things up. Okay, right. It turns out though, you're inside the strategy. You can always figure out which direction you're going by just going to the position object like that. Okay, and no, we don't need to like create a new market data event args. We got one right up there. Okay, we're just passing. That was the whole intent in the beginning. We just pass it through. Okay. Okay, that's peculiar. Why does it say that's not good? I must have. Oh, we're on market depth. I'm sorry, guys. We're on the wrong one here. On market update. Market update, right? You know what? Let's just read. It must be something wrong with my typing. On market update. Do I already have it? I must have it. Yeah, I must have it already overridden somewhere, and that's the issue. Okay, so let's just cut and paste this guy out here. That's why it sort of was coping. There it is. It's down here. Sorry, guys. It's coping with it was trying to cope with the fact you had to implement it somewhere else. Okay, so let's take a look at it again. Take the market update. Okay, very clever. So it actually did a little guard here. It says like if the new stop price is not equal to the existing stop price, and I think there's also kind of a sorry, I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to test to make sure if it's not equal to this new stop price. Here's the thing. Okay, there's a little nuance. I don't think I'm going to get into this because this might just conflate a lot. But let me explain what's going through my mind right now. Okay, when you issue a stop order, you get the initial stop price put in here. Going forward, however, you will have a stop price changed inside of here. So here's the cool thing, guys. If you want to see this object and see what's inside it, you just hit F12. And then I can see that's an order. I can go into, put my cursor over order. I can F12 into that, and it'll actually go into what the order object has. And in here, okay, I just know this for a fact. And in here, there is a stop price changed right here. Where is it? There it is. Okay, this guy right here. Okay, there's actually these two. You see that? And that actually gets set when you're changing it. And so it's actually, that's the one you want to test against that first one, and then going forward you want to test against that second one. Why is it important to test? Well, you don't want to be spitting out to your broker over and over again these new change order commands, if you will, you know, every tick, because then the broker's going to get all upset. Right. You only want to do it kind of when you actually, when you actually are changing the price. But we're not going to tackle that right now, because that's just going to conflate things quite a lot. Okay, so this actually looks correct. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to run that. Yeah, actually, as I see that, I see Roderick's comment, and okay, so he's basically saying, hey, you know, you guys should think outside the box and leverage, possibly leverage BlackBird and Bloodhound as a rapid development platform. Essentially kind of integrating AI and stuff like that. I think that's kind of what he's implying, you know, through kind of the coding route. I'll just say we definitely have our own initiative on that track. And you know, we've been on it since the summer. And I won't give the whole thing away, other than to say that we were definitely implementing a co-pilot of some sort for our products. And that's about all I'll say right now, because we're just kind of in the midst of development, and that I think is going to really make using our products a lot easier, a lot more intuitive, so that you can just type kind of what you want instead of you know, as it's like helping me with my development. I believe something like that will help you guys as customers with our products to rapidly deploy and create things a lot in a more intuitive fashion, right? So okay, so let's continue here. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and enable this. Okay, and there she goes, and let's see if it trails. Okay, and to do, as you can see, it is not trailing. Okay, so that thing popped up there, stop loss stayed still. Okay, and I have a feeling I know why almost immediately, and that was because we blindly trusted ChatGPT with the trailing stop loss. Okay, so okay, but let's you know, just step through real quick here and figure out why. First of all, let's make sure it's going in. So it is going in. It says the order price is at 173.47. We are at the long direction. Calculates the new order, the stop order price minus ticks, but it's also taking the stop price into consideration. The issue is, it's like, I can't see how this would ever stick, right? How does it know where kind of the new benchmark is? Let's continue with this, because the irony is, when I did ask ChatGPT the same question earlier this week, it got it right. So okay, let's try to coax ChatGPT to give us the right answer. Okay, because that sometimes is the sometimes that is, you know, what you got to do. All right, so if you recall, I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you just write me up this trailing stop loss? Gave me this answer, right? I'm like, I'm gonna type, I tried it. It didn't work. Let's see what it comes back with. I'm not even really being very specific about it. And sometimes sometimes I find it actually is pretty smart. This time, okay. All right, it's now just giving me some general stuff about debugging, which is completely useless to me. So I'm going to stop it. But let's try this for a second. Let's try attacked. Okay, let's go to let's try the ChatGPT without the Bing model, without the Bing search engine, right? I'm sorry, I went back. Let's go back. Let's copy my original question, but let's choose the default one without search engine capability. I'm going to cut and paste this, and let's see what answer it now provides. Okay. Meant to compute the stop loss level dynamically based on the real-time market data. Yep, it's good. Below is a sample using a trailing stop. Did I say trailing stop? I did not. Okay, that's probably an issue, but let's just see what it comes up with now. Okay, new stop level. Trailing stop. Okay, so trailing stop ticks. I'm just looking through its code that generated here. Basically came up with the same thing, which is also not helpful. Okay, so it told me how to put that in the market update, no problem. This stop loss doesn't seem to trail properly. Nope, I spelled trail wrong. I put tail. Okay, so it's like, well, it could be the change order thing. I know for a fact that's not it. It's the it's actually the calculation that's something wrong with it. Okay, so what are we doing here? Okay, it's giving me another plausible solution. I would say at this point, it's now kind of leading me down the wrong track. Okay, I'm just going to simply state that when I did this earlier, like yesterday or the day before, I basically did the same thing, except I did type in like, can you write me up a trailing stop loss for this? And it got it right the first time. So it just goes to show, like again, it's not going to solve all your issues. You still got to use, you got to still use your developer brain, to do it properly, right? But I swear to God, I did do it pretty much exactly that, except I did word the question slightly differently. And I asked it to create the trailing stop loss for me, and this is basically the code it came up with. Okay, so the difference between this one and the other one is it actually has a field here that remembers the stop loss price from the last time, does a comparison. And actually, to be honest, like it actually did this kind of breakthrough thinking without any of my prompting. And at the time, I remember I was a little tired, so I didn't even really think about the nuances of it myself. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. That's kind of what we got to do. So like sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so it's must have misspelled something here. Let's just put that in. Okay. There must be a missing method or missing slightly different. Okay, sorry. Looks like it looks like I had basically misspelled something. My other code, no problem. Okay, so let's just kind of like, I'm sure if I asked it, sat there and asked it enough, it would have given me that answer eventually. That's another thing too, is it's not going to give you the same answer necessarily even twice. And it could be as simply as nuanced as something like because I remember when I asked it this first time, I said, can you implement the trailing stop loss for me? I explicitly took it out, typed it out, and then immediately said, yes, a trailing stop loss is, and then it proceeded to describe exactly what a trailing stop loss is. And that tells me it understands the assignment. So here it didn't quite, but and sometimes it's hit and miss like that, Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, I promise, guys, we're getting pretty close to the end here. There's only one more thing I want to show you. So I hope we didn't get lost too far into the woods. And then actually I have a little treat. Zach is going to show you kind of a demo of BlackBird because I mean, obviously we're shark indicators, you know, and we spent many years building out a strategy that can handle a lot of this stuff and also let you configure your own kind of how the way you want things to trade. So we're gonna show you just a very quick way to do that using our software instead. I promise that won't be too long. Okay, but let's just do a quick test. Okay, so finally we got the trailing stop loss working properly here. Okay, looks good. Okay. All right, let's just kind of speed through here because I think we might be starting to lose some people here. Okay, so back to the original design. Okay, if you remember, this was the strategy behavior. Okay, unfortunately named it's the same. I am going to quickly implement, and by quickly I mean I'm going to cut and paste at this point because I'll bear you up. Okay, I won't have to make you bear through the me typing this out. Okay, but I'm going to create a new implementation of this that takes an indicator and follows the indicator. Okay. Yeah, let me just, I already know kind of what the issues were with my made code before. All right, so basically I'll explain real quick here. Okay, this thing I imagine this is a plugin, right? I can plug this in and I can change the behavior of one of those order sets simply by using this guy instead of this guy, right? And so this one will take in basically an indicator, or in this case, a long or short plot from an indicator, okay? And it will just ask the indicator's value, which is the long plot or short plot. You see how simple this is? Look at this. This is literally just one line, right? I'm just taking the plot from the indicator, spitting it out. That's it. Right. And this is what's cool about these kind of, when you design things properly, implementing some of these new things, very simple. Watch how quick this is. So I'm gonna make the main OCO use the indicator, and basically I'm going to use the TS super trend for this example, and just in the name of speed, I'm going to cut paste that real quick. This is the TS super trend with some parameters, right? Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the indicator trailing stop. And the long plot is going to be the uptrend. Yep, uptrend. Short plot is going to be the downtrend. Okay. Right. Cool. Let's see if that builds. It does. Good sign. See how quick that was? I mean, yeah, I was cutting and pasting, but I mean, it's pretty trivial code. And now that you kind of got this like indicator trend stop, as you can see, I can feed kind of almost any indicator I want into it. Okay. So let's go ahead and open that up. Yeah, Tulu's asking, can you please share my custom strategy? I will absolutely share the I'm going to share the link how you can download that later with spelling mistakes and all. So absolutely no problem at all. Okay. Okay, we forgot to sort of clean up from the last time. Okay, let's put that on. Oops, you know what? I forgot, guys. I do need to put the TS super trend on there so we can see what's going on here. TS super trend, where are you? There we go. Just to use the default parameters. That's what I kind of typed in there. Okay. I hope it's not too hard to see. Let's see if I can. Okay. I apologize, guys. All right. You can see the lines there. Okay. Let's Pop that on. Okay, we do seem to be off here. Did I build it? Okay, let's take a look. Well, we do have our 2 order sets. Yeah, that's 60 up there. That's a 10 and 50. Okay, it's this one here, isn't it? Yeah, that's the guy. It's probably this guy's probably too thin to see it. All right, but okay, nonetheless, that's how you implement it. And I think, and then I'm not entirely convinced it's working, but at least the code file I will give you, I did test. It does work. But just in the interest of time, I'm not gonna go ahead and debug this and try to work through why it did or did not work. But just some, just so when you do get the file, like, just beware of a couple things. We don't handle a lot of stuff here. Okay, so I explained earlier there's some issues with the split fills. Definitely beware of that. You can't reverse and have expected to. Well, actually don't know. Yeah, we certainly didn't explicitly handle the reverse scenario, reversing. So I wouldn't trust that. Yeah, so anyways, this should give you some kind of a good jumping off point though. All right. Anyways, I think what I'm going to do at this point here is, I'm sure a lot of you seen enough, and I'm going to switch gears and invite Zach to just kind of take over and show us all this work that I've sort of done, like how you can sort of do the same thing in BlackBird. All right, so hopefully Zach didn't fall asleep.
All right.
There we go. Yeah.
Let's see here, getting switched over. All right. There we go. All right. So I got the screen sharing going here. Yeah. So definitely writing code, it's kind of cool, when you really want custom trading tools and stuff like that. But at the same time, Jeremy practically spent all day getting that code working and debugging it, and having a couple of conversations with ChatGPT along the way and whatnot. So so the point is, definitely writing code is time consuming to debug it and get it all working correctly here. So if you want to just kind of cut through and save yourself a bunch of time, that's why we built BlackBird, to be able to save yourself a bunch of time. When Shark Indicators was first launched, we actually didn't have a strategy. We just had Bloodhound. And then, it was pretty obvious that, Bloodhound needed a strategy, because that is the ultimate goal for traders there. And so at first we came up with Raven, a nice little simple strategy, just to kind of a starting point there, to get things going. So that way you could do some basic back testing there, right? And we gave Raven away for free with Bloodhound, and if you use Raven a couple of times, you kind of realize that it's not very sophisticated, right? And so then ultimately, Raven kind of bought Jeremy some time to then go through and develop BlackBird, which BlackBird actually has the flexibility that Bloodhound has, right? So that's kind of the origin story there of both Raven and BlackBird. So let's see here. So I have Raven up and going here. I also have the super trend on the chart, and just to point out, actually Jeremy was using a different super trend. He was using the TS super trend. I am just using the stocks and commodities super trend here for this demo. And I'll show you where to get those two indicators here in just a moment. So, all right. So I got BlackBird all ready, and I'm going to just show you how much faster it is when when you have a program that's, all developed out, that's designed so that you can go in and, adjust things on the fly. How much easier it is than obviously writing code, right? Right. So let's see here. For the profit target, so I already created the entry order there. So for the profit target, I think Jeremy was originally using a 10 tick one there. Yeah, I'm going to switch it over to a 2 ATR because that 10 tick it's going to get hit super fast, in my little demonstration there. So I'm going to push it out a little further. Actually, let's push it out even further so we can actually see that order. So I'll make it three ATRs there. And then for the stop loss, I could just go with a custom stop loss there and set it to the super trend indicator. However, what happens if you decide to get into a trade and the super trend is on the wrong side of the market, right? Maybe you decide to go long somewhere in here, right before the super trend flips directions or before the market crosses it, right? Then obviously you would, your stop loss or the super trend would be an invalid price for your stop loss, right? So you'd be trying to set your stop loss on the wrong side of the market. So instead, I'm going to start off with, again, an ATR based offset here. And I'll push that out a little bit further there. So 2.5 ATRs. And then in the trailing actions here, we're going to set up a custom trailing roll here. And let's see, let's give this a name here. All right, there we go. Follow the super trend. And I'm going to go into the action there. And so the action is what actually moves that stop loss, right? So we're going to move the stop loss to, and the default is going to be the last price, right? The last incoming price. But we don't want to use price. We want to use the super trend indicator value, right? So we'll switch this over to indicator value. And there we go. Actually, it already has the super trend kind of memorized there. So when I did a little rehearsal, so that's already plugged in there for us, the super trend. All right, all ready to go. And if I wanted to, I could add a tick or two offset, just in case if you wanted to try and avoid those wicks, that sometimes will punch through the super trend, something like that. You could try that. So let's see, but I'm going to actually match the super trend there, like so. And then the repeat here, right? Sometimes some trailing behaviors, don't always repeat. So for example, like a break even, when you move to break even, right? That's a one-time action. So there is no repeating. But obviously when you want it to follow an indicator, you want this trailing rule to repeat, indefinitely until that stop loss gets hit. So we'll set that up. So, and here's another little trick as well. Because remember I said, what happens if you get into the market, if you try and go long when the super trend's on the wrong side of the market here. So we can actually go in here and use the triggers to evaluate, the bar prices against the indicator to make sure that the bar, the bars are on the right side of the indicator, right? So to do that, and actually I wasn't actually planning on doing this, but to do that, we're going to use the price versus an indicator, right? We're going to compare, right, the bar prices versus the super trend indicator there. So input the close, yeah. So let's just compare the closing price of the bar to the super trend. And so input B, that's going to be our indicator here. And let's use a little search thing here to speed things up. There we go. So there is the super trend. All right. And yep, call it good. Let's see. Yeah, no offset. We'll just leave it like that. And then we need to figure out, how do we want to evaluate this? Does the closing price of the bar need to be above or below the super trend for a long? And actually, yeah, we want the close to be equal or above. Actually, not equal. We definitely don't want the close to be equal. So we just want the close to be above the super trend, or A above B for a long trade. And so a short trade would be the opposite. There you go. There. So now BlackBird will evaluate this trigger rule first to make sure that the bar is on the right side, or the closing price is on the right side of the indicator, right? And of course, Jeremy didn't even get into that part of the code, right? That probably would have been, another five more minutes or so to go through that. So, all right, there we go. So now we have a, oh, hold on. Oh, I canceled it by accident. Let me set that back up again. I'm just going to whip through it. Oh, let's go back to basic. There we go. And let's see, I should be able to, yep, set this up quickly the next time. There we go. All right, cool. There we go. So, and let's click OK. So, oh, that's right. One more order set here. So this is the runner. So remember, Jeremy's code puts in two order sets there. So for the runner, I can make a copy of A, right? And this is order set A. And then I can just remove the profit target. And there we go. So we just have the stop loss acting as the runner there. Right? So, and now we're done. There we go. So let me I have the playback connection all queued up and ready to go there. All right, so we can see the super trend is below. So if I try and go short here, there we go. Our stop loss went in, and oh, the super trend already flipped on us. So there we go, good to go. And so there we go. So we can see as the super trend indicator starts trailing down. Actually, I'll stretch that out a little bit. There we go. Yep, we can just watch that super trend fall down. All right, just follow it. Pretty simple, straightforward. Yeah. So while this is playing out, let me kind of multitask here and show you guys where you can get these super trend indicators. I'm sure most of you probably already have them. So these are available on NinjaTrader's user app share here, right? So if you do a little search, which I got the second tab here, I just did a search for super trend, right? So the one I'm using here with BlackBird is the super trend from the July of this year stocks and commodities. So the one that Jeremy was using was the TS super trend here. So it was one of these TS super trends that he actually grabbed. So, all right. Anyways, yeah, you can see that there's a handful of super trends available on NinjaTrader's site there. Yeah. And there we go. So our stop loss got picked off. And so the super trend flipped directions. Let's go long. And so that, again, that stop loss will just trail the super trend, as expected there. And also, I know there's a bunch of Shark Indicator customers already in here. So, but for anybody new, that's new to Shark Indicators, or, basically if you're new to BlackBird and you want to find or ask more questions about what BlackBird's capable of, I host a weekly training workshop here, one for Bloodhound and another one for BlackBird. So if anybody, has questions about using our Bloodhound or BlackBird software here, the Bloodhound one, as you can see, it's on Thursdays, and the BlackBird one is on Fridays. And so if you want to jump in there, you can ask live questions. There's a registration link there to register with Zoom. So these are both of these are Zoom webinars there, right, where I just share my screen and answer you guys' questions live on what both of these softwares can do, and I'll demonstrate it as well. That's a part of what these training workshops are for, is you guys asking questions, and I'll show you how to build that in these workshops there. So yeah. And there's also a ton of recordings as well. So if you can't actually make it to one of these workshops live, then there are a ton of recorded videos there, and you can look through all those recordings by opening up this list here. Just click on the banner. You can see that will open up these lists. And then there's, basically subject lines of all the various different questions asked throughout the years there during these workshops. So let's see if there is anything else. Let's see. Oh, yeah. One more thing. Jeremy, do you have the link to download the code? Are you going to show that? Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll let you.
I'll put that in the chat once you're done here.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. There we go. I mean, yeah, basically, that was a very quick, simple, demonstration of our BlackBird strategy in action there. And of course, if you really build yourself out a really fancy, sophisticated strategy, you're definitely going to want to implement money management capabilities here, such as maybe stopping it when it hits some kind of maximum profit for the day or maximum loss for the day, right? You probably also want to implement a scheduling here, so it's not trading overnight, right? So you can implement some kind of a, most people are only interested in trading the RTH there. That way they don't go into the overnight margin requirements, right? Or sometimes just going overnight when markets are a little more chaotic or just don't move that much. So there's those capabilities, and some others as well. One last one here. So if you want to build a fully automated system, which I'm sure a lot of traders out there are very interested in getting into fully automation there, you can also hook in a signal source. So obviously you could hook in Bloodhound, but there's probably a lot of coders here today. So if you have your own custom indicators, or maybe you've downloaded an indicator that you've kind of customized, whatnot, you can tie in basically entry signals, and then use any kind of custom indicator there that provides entry signals, and hook that directly into BlackBird as well.
I do believe as soon as you said that, Wilhelm asked that question, can I use my own coded? He literally said, can I use my own coded, well, he said strategy, but it's more appropriately, actually, Wilhelm, you'll need to code your logic into an indicator. Once you got that in as an indicator, you can plug your logic, your custom coded logic, right into BlackBird, and you can use it as a signal like he's got there. But you can also use it to drive other behaviors. You can use it as triggers to drive, like how the stop losses or profit targets move around, or whatever, what have you, right? So it's so there's a couple places you can actually put your logic in there, custom coded logic. That's a very viable way to go, by the way. Like a lot of you guys obviously are developed. I'm assuming pretty much everyone in this room is a developer, right? Or at least has some development experience. So, that's kind of the best of both worlds. You can sort of like, again, like I always kind of believe in software, like not to always reinvent the wheel, right? If you kind of agree with me, then maybe you're the best. One really good approach would be to use your own development skills to create your own algorithms to trigger behaviors in a pre-existing trade management system like BlackBird, either be it like entry or when the entries go, or when certain behaviors trigger inside of the while the order is live.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's see. So the most recent one here, yeah, can you backtest with Bloodhound and BlackBird? So, yeah, not Bloodhound. You can't backtest an indicator. It has to be a strategy. That's how. Yeah, that really is how all trading platforms are designed. Is that if you want to do backtesting, you have to use the strategy class. I have yet to come across a trading platform where you can actually backtest an indicator. You have to put all that into the strategy class.
Yeah, because the platform's got to know what you're doing with your orders. That's why.
Yeah. So, but both Raven and BlackBird have a backtest mode switch here. Right. So if you're writing your own custom strategy code, right? I've never seen anybody do this. But Jeremy implemented this toggle switch here, or checkbox. So that way, if you got a lot of data on your chart, you can just turn the backtest off when you're actually using it live. That way you don't have to spend the time running all that backtest data, right? That way the strategy will load up a lot quicker there. So
the short answer is yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can
But yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're using BlackBird, make sure that you turn the backtest mode on. So it is off by default there. So, yeah. All right, you cancel that. And so Jeremy, let me turn it back over to you, and you can give people the link to download that code.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that and do some Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
You got some questions to go through for sure.
Yeah. I'll be really quick here. Let me share my screen. Oh, I think you have to stop for. Oh, I can do that for you. There we go.
You should be able to take it from
Yeah.
me. There we
Okay.
go.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So basically, just in summary, guys. You saw me use ChatGPT in various different ways. One thing I find AI is quite good at is if say you're not familiar with a particular topic, is just to ask it, teach me. One time I was like, I want to learn Python, ironically for ML purposes, because Python seems to be the language of choice there. And I said, can you come up with a full lesson plan for me? Right. And there away it went. And it's great, actually. It's and actually custom tailored it to the specific topic I was looking for. So it's really cool at that kind of stuff. It's and that's why I've listed it as great for learning concepts. It's amazing at that. It's like having a private tutor in some cases. It's also good at like understanding most of the times what you want as an algorithm. You saw it kind of flounder a bit when I asked it to do a trailing stop loss. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes with that. When it hits, it's great. It saves you a lot of time. But that brings me to the thing I want to impress upon you the most is like you still got to know what you're doing. If you're blindly trusting the AI to write the code for you, you're just going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. It's great if you're just like me, sometimes a little lazy. You don't want to type it all out, or even like kind of work through the nuances of reinventing the wheel like an algorithm that's already been implemented. And I'll tell you, a lot of developers already do this, but they don't tell you they will. But a lot of developers already just go onto Google and they're just like, search the kind of the answer they're looking for, because almost by and large, someone has probably implemented, like say a particular algorithm that they're thinking up already. It's, you know, we're talking the entire world here, right? There's millions and millions of developers out there. And so actually it's really cool. It's really good at that, right? It's really good at kind of drawing upon the power of millions and millions of developers and all their common knowledge, and putting it and sort of interpreting what you want, taking what's already been written and transposing it for you. One thing I did find it's kind of weak at is like the specifics of NinjaScript itself. Like, as you saw earlier, like sometimes we'll just start making stuff up, because that's how these chat bots or these LLMs are designed, right? They just generate text, and sometimes they're generating it and there's a bit of a randomness the way they work. There's a bit of a randomness involved in it, and sometimes it'll randomly select a word, they'll lead it kind of down, it may actually be the wrong path, right? So you got to be wary of that. And in particular, NinjaScript in particular, it's not exactly a NinjaScript writer. Go ahead, Zach. Were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say they're LLMs. The name basically says it's designed to carry on a conversation, not to give you accurate information, and they're not specifically built to write code. Because they've done so much, because they've scraped the entire content of the internet. They have all that data in there. And so, so they've been able to kind of focus it to get the correct data, but it was never designed to give you correct data. It was designed to carry on a conversation. So,
yeah. And I'll be honest, like there are times where I'm on a particular topic, for example, and I don't know too much about it. So actually, I'm not even sure if what it's giving me is correct. And I can remember even like a couple of weeks ago, it kind of led me down this wrong path on something. And I was like, everything it says makes sense, but it's still not working. And sure enough, I did eventually Google it, and I, after researching and reading other people's comments on this particular topic, I realized, okay, it's what it said did make sense, but it's wrong, unfortunately, right? And so it will sometimes lead you down the wrong path. But I would say on the whole, though, like I said, I use it every day. Definitely helps out with development a lot, but do not. You have to be wary that sometimes it will do that, and that also means, like, you might have to cross-reference with Google and and see if what it's actually saying is true, right? So but as you can see, the chat, or so the Copilot is also really handy. Little, like, again, that's a paid subscription. But if you're heavy into coding, it's pretty good at sometimes predicting what you want, which is very satisfying, because, like, it saves you a lot of typing, and in some cases it may actually help you identify things that you may have overlooked. But you still the driver, though. It's only as good as you are, right? So if you yourself are buying into it 100% all the time, it's actually going to cause you probably more problems than it will help, leading you down the kind of the wrong path. So you still have to be knowledgeable enough to know when it's right and when it's wrong.
Here's a couple of good questions here. So Jeff is asking, can ChatGPT optimize a strategy? And simple answer is no on that one. ChatGPT is just good at kind of trying
generating
to
text and code.
But here's the one that is really basically the holy grail of what everybody's looking for. Is there an AI out there that was specifically designed to feed in market data, and give you back essentially trading advice, give you back, buy or sell, for a strategy.
I imagine there's probably people trying to do that kind of thing. I would question how effective those are, though, because, again, the way if like, because I've obviously, when this came out, I did quite a bit of a study in terms of how do these work, right? And ChatGPT as an LLM, it's really just a generator. It generates text, and it makes predictions on the next word it's going to spew out to you. And you know, it seems like it's intelligent, and yes, it's very good, seemingly good at comprehending what you're trying to say, but it isn't intelligent. It's not an actual intelligent thing, like, you know, that can do that kind of thing with, you know, like analyze a market data. And it's pretty much anyone's guess, to be honest. Like, you could analyze some market data, and as you saw, even just with me asking coding questions, which are relatively straightforward in terms of this, generally only, you know, when if the trailing stop loss is a perfect example, right? There's generally only one way to write that, more or less, right? And you can see it got it wrong at least on 2 occasions already. So I mean, like, I would be very hesitant to just sort of blindly trust an AI to analyze chart data and ask for, have it spew out. I mean, it'll do what you ask it. It'll spew out probably long and short, you know, recommendations, and it'll justify it in a way that sounds very reasonable. But by and large, there's really no telling what what that could get, where that could get you. And you know, there certainly aren't, at least the big ones out there like ChatGPT and you know, Llama and whatnot. They're not designed to be trading predictors by any measure.
No, yeah, not a chat one. No, and I haven't heard of any generative AI that was, or at least not a public one, you know, that's designed to crunch numbers yet. So
Yeah, well, I mean,
have you heard of one yet, Jeremy?
well,
A public one?
I mean, ChatGPT does have this advanced data analysis. Okay, it can crunch the numbers and stuff like that. You know, but whether or not it's as good as a human trader or something, like, no, there's by no means, you know, I would, as far as I'm concerned, whatever it spews out to you and tells you and justifies it even, would be probably no better than randomness. You know, because it's you know, it wasn't exactly trained to be a trader, right? That's presumably you guys are right. So I mean, like, yeah, I would definitely not trust an LLM to perform my trading. I laugh when I see those videos on YouTube. It's like, I trusted ChatGPT to take positions, and I made X, you know, $10,000 and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that was a complete fluke. You know, it's like, these are just chat or word generators. It's what they are. So yeah. But you know, if someone wants to be brave enough to try that out, I mean, by all means. But anyways, I did see someone ask, hey, like, what if you ask like ChatGPT to reference another LLM, you know, and what would be his question? So let me ask it, like, what do you know about Meta's Llama? And it may or may not know. I'm not sure if that's how you spell it, Llama. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Llama is Meta's kind of it's kind of a competitor to ChatGPT. And I think it says it doesn't really know. But you know, like, we could ask it to sort of browse it and find out. So let's ask the same question. Yeah, since we're on it, and some of you guys might not actually have the latest version, so it will go and oh, in this case, I've noticed it's doing some A/B testing here, but it's going out and it's gonna browse it. It's gonna basically look it up. It's trying to do so. This particular version of ChatGPT is a little different. It's actually designed to craft search engine questions intelligently. That's more or less what this one's more designed to do. Find the particular web page through Bing, read the response and then summarize. And summarization is one thing actually LLMs are very good at doing, summarizing English. Right, so there it is, essentially summarizing it. But that's, I suppose, cheating a little bit, because this is getting into that territory where it's retrieving the information for you. It's really just doing a search engine. Search engine's job is retrieving the information for you, reinterpreting, and kind of just regurgitating that information it's read to you. So anyways, if you wanted to know, that's what it would do. Somebody mentioned Copilot is $30 a month. Okay, so I guess I was an early adopter. I must have got in when it was cheap. It was when I signed up, it was only about it was $100 a year. So I'm not surprised they've gone up, because I've actually heard the resources that are required to make these LLMs work and answer questions is pretty intense. Like I said, every single query that you ask, it's, you know, I think if for example, if I had a ChatGPT 4 app that made and designed it and used kind of an API call, and you know, I was using it and asking, and had it out in the wild, I believe it's something like it's quite expensive. Every single query is it's like 4 cents, or is it 0.4 cents? Either way, it can add up very fast. You know, if you can imagine like hundreds of thousands of queries, you know, over the course of a week, or you know, and that'd be a very small app, right? It can be quite expensive for the app developer, right? So you know, there are ways to kind of get around that, but I'm saying this stuff is not free. And I do expect that the cost per query will eventually go down, but it's right now it's pretty cutting edge stuff. So yeah.
Cost of technology always goes down. That's a good thing for us. Yeah. Roderick's saying that, yeah, Bloomberg has a Bloomberg GPT, which that doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I'm sure Bloomberg has been working on something like that. Yeah, generative AI for forever. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Go forever, but yeah, they definitely, from what I've heard, it's quite impressive. But I imagine, just, you know, probably even for legal reasons. Of course, I'm just speaking because out of probably ignorance, because I don't really know. But I would be surprised if those things actually made real trade recommendations. It'd be more kind of like.
Yeah, he does state there is no auto trader to it. Yeah, and Bloomberg, you know, they've got the Bloomberg terminal, which just has tons of data in it. So it's like the perfect data set for, you know, training an AI on to try and make market trading predictions. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they would have something. Yeah. So
apologies, I just put my phone on silent here.
And let me see here. I'm going to put the link in chat.
Oh, there. Yes. Yeah, that's where you get the code, guys.
Yeah, let me, and I'll put that in chat here as well. There you go. Yeah. All right, there's the link in chat.
Roll back up. I think actually, I addressed quite a few of these questions as we went along, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, no, I was scanning through it as you were talking. Yeah, we actually answered them all, except, no, there we go. One little detailed question. Yeah, can you optimize BlackBird? And no, unfortunately, NinjaTrader's optimizer is not designed for BlackBird's, you know, more intuitive UI. The optimizer is designed for hard-coded strategies, you know. So yeah, you can, yeah. So unfortunately not. So, but Raven, you can optimize Raven, because Raven has a very simple profit target and stop loss in the property grid, you know, and that's what the optimizer is designed for, is just, simple inputs at the property grid. So, all right. Cool. Well, all right. Think that we've managed to get through it in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty long. Yeah, I hope you guys got something from it. Yeah, I mean, like, I looked at an older strategy that I developed kind of online and did a lesson for, and it was actually a lot more structured and had a little more like flexibility to it. But I think I really wanted to showcase kind of using the the ChatGPT technology and showcase like Copilot to see like, so you can get a glimpse of kind of like what my day is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
how it's changed my workflow.
I
So
think this one today's is a step up from the one that you did on Futures IO.
yeah, actually,
Do you
I
remember
did
that
two.
one?
Yeah, I did two of them, and the second one actually, I did go through and kind of review it. And actually, the code that I wrote for that one was a little bit more fleshed out. It had um, it had the strategy pattern for both the profit target and stop loss. It had order sets. It had an order manager
Hmm.
with state and all this other stuff. So it was a little more complicated, but
Okay.
it was a little if I recall, I didn't have time to type any of it. I just simply was explaining the code.
Yeah.
So this was a different take on it. But again, it was more intended to hopefully get you guys
Yeah.
see
And so
how development goes.
that is available up on Futures IO. So
Yeah, or Nexus Fi, it's now known as.
Nexus
So
Fi,
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
So Big
yeah.
Mike did post it in the thread that was advertising that webinar, yeah, that Jeremy did on Nexus Fi or Futures IO. So if you
Yeah.
want that code, yeah, I guess just search for that thread on Nexus Fi.
Actually, it's like I think I don't know where it is on Nexus Fi, but if you go to YouTube and you go to the Nexus Fi channel and just search my name, Jeremy Tang, because I haven't got that many up there, but you'll see I've got at least two on coding, two webinars on coding, and that was done, I think
Yeah, the
20,
second one. Yeah, the second one.
2021, or I think it was I
Yeah.
did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and Big Mike might have put a link to the discussion thread for that video, and that's where you could download, yeah, that code there. So cool. All right, I think we're good.
all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and you guys have yourself a great week.
I'll see the rest of you guys on the workshops in a couple days.
Yep.
All right, guys.
All
All
right.
right, bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.